Welcome to Bet the Edge. It's Thursday, February 2nd. Thank you, everyone watching on our NBC Sports YouTube channel. Coming up, nothing but basketball. Drew and I take a deep dive into the massive college basketball slate. We'll talk Houston, Arizona, Ohio State, and more. Plus, we'll look at the NBA futures market, wrap the show with our favorite NBA plays on the 7-game slate. All that more coming up on Bet the Edge. Drew, it was a hectic day yesterday in both college and NBA. I held a Providence ticket. They went down by, I think, 15 in the first 10 minutes, came back in OT and covered for me. Had some other crazy games too, but I know in NBA you had some drama last night. So how's your week been?
Yeah, I thought for crazy day, you were talking about all the League One France soccer in the middle of the day. It was crazy. Mbappe goes down. PSG looks like they're on the ropes against Montpellier. Ultimately, they get the win, but it's we're Team Marseille. If you didn't hear yesterday, we're going all in on their massive future price. But the NBA was wild. 2-0-1. The one push was just what the heck happened at the end of that game for the Jazz and the Raptors. Jazz with a comfortable, I think it was 6-point lead, 13 seconds left to go. Phantom foul on Walker Kessler, who, by the way, Walker Kessler playing the best defense of any young big in the league right now. He is unbelievably good. Played defended I thought the refs gave him a phantom three free throws, and then just an absurd layup by Scotty Barnes to get the margin to 3 as time expired. So we got to push there. But you know what? I didn't get the best of the number. It closed 2.5 in some places. That's the price you pay. You got to be and timing your market entry correctly if you're betting the NBA this time of year, because these numbers are tight. There are some, clearly there are some blowouts. Like, if you played the Hawks last night, congratulations, that was no sweat. But sometimes there are some tight lines in these NBA markets, and so you need to be getting the best of the number. And I paid the price for not having that last night because I got the push instead of the win. So shame on me.
Drew, you just reminded me of a bet that I didn't place last night because I went 3-1 in college basketball. I had Lehigh as my best bet. They lost with 4 seconds left to Army. That's twice Army beat them, either buzzer beater or a last-second field goal. Yes. But I bet Seton Hall live at plus 390 against St. John's. We all know St. John's is terrible. So I ended up cashing that bet. I was going to roll it over on Chris Paul under 9.5 points at the end of the first half. I didn't do it. He finished with 3. So I'm a little upset about that, but yeah, lots of live value betting I saw last night. I think today is going to be a tough day, so we're here to help everyone out because the college basketball market is sharp tonight. I think the NBA market is as well. I want to talk about some top 10 teams. We'll start with Houston, talk about this game against Wichita State, Drew. They're 12-point road favorites. Over-under is 131.5. Maybe tonight might not be the best night to be back in Houston. Might be looking at them more in a futures market. But, they do things we like. They play defense. They force turnovers. They stop the 3. They shoot it pretty well. Any opinion on this game, or would you rather be looking at them in the futures market?
Well, the fair by my numbers, and again, my numbers are not especially sharp for college basketball, so take it with a grain of salt, was 11. So this is like dog or pass type of number. I don't have any confidence in what the Shockers are doing lately, just kind of looking at their results. And obviously the Cougars, in cruise control for a 1 seed. So I think this is probably going to be one that I'm going to keep an eye on just from a information gathering standpoint. I look at the Houston Cougars overall as far as their kind of resume and their makeup for, being a true blue contender, and I worry about a couple of things that I see, and so I'm going to need to put some eye tests to these guys and try to come up with what I think is a realistically fair ranking for them, because most advanced models out there will tell you that this team deserves to be in the top 2, top 3, and some of the rankings that I give the most credibility to have them number 1, but at the same time there are a couple of glaring, blinking, flashing red, sirens here. Their inability to get to the free throw line is somewhat concerning. The fact that they play at such a slow tempo is somewhat concerning because, in a March Madness one and done environment, if you shorten the game and you're having a bad day shooting and you can't get to the free throw line, you're liable to get upset by a blue blood. So it's not to say that Houston won't surely be there, be there for week 2 of March Madness, but that's when you see a resume like this and you see some of those specific weaknesses, I kind of circle you for Sweet 16 heartbreak.
Yeah, I could see that too. In the last game Houston had against Cincinnati, they had a minimum win probability of 43%. There was definitely points in that game where I was like, Cincinnati might win this game, but then Houston went on a 15-2 run. Within 7 minutes left in that game, that kind of pulled away in that one. So I'm thinking a lot of live bet potential here on Wichita State as the home team, but they don't force turnovers. They don't shoot the three well, and Houston's definitely the better offensive rebounding team. So, it's scary, but I think Wichita State's probably a pretty good live bet in this game if you can get something on them, or just get Houston, if they're down early, or you can get them around 6 or 7. But I want to ask you because, I don't like betting Houston as much, but I saw some pretty interesting stuff about conference power rankings yesterday.
Okay.
Our boy Ken Pomeroy, Bart Torvik, they're putting out some stuff. And I saw the AAC, which Houston plays in, and the ACC had the same power ranking. Okay. And we know the ACC is definitely down this year. I'll say that for sure. But is that a credit to Houston or not? And if we're looking at Houston, the futures market, plus 600 to win it all, wouldn't you rather have teams like Kansas or maybe Tennessee, UCLA, Arizona, or would you rather have Houston?
Man, it's too short of a number for me to get involved with Houston. Way too short. And the AAC being in the same footing as the ACC doesn't really pass the smell test to me. I mean, you have a pretty huge disparity in sort of the quality of talent. Just on some of those rosters. Maybe there's some more juniors and seniors, guys who've been around, guys whose games have been more, sharpened at the college level on the ACC squads. But that rarely generates success come tourney time. So I'm going to be out on the AAC, just especially because some of these teams, like, they just play so slow. Like, if you go against some elite athletes and, they're running up and down the floor on you and they're getting to the rim easily, like, if your shots aren't hitting and they're turning transition buckets into easy baskets because of their athleticism, then, you're going to be in trouble. And I think, honestly, the AAC may go into this tournament relatively overrated.
Yeah, I was trying to find reasons of other teams because you got like Memphis, Tulane, and I'm like, I don't see these teams making runs. But then you look at the ACC. I mean, I give a hat tip to the Pitt Panthers, sweeping North Carolina Tar Heels this season. Immaculate effort from this team. But you got Clemson, Virginia, Pitt, Miami, NC State, Duke, UNC, the top of the ACC. I wouldn't take any of these teams, though, to make a run to be a Final Four team as much. I like Miami. Pitt looks awesome. Virginia's great, but I don't know, Drew. I think I'd rather have my Arizona Wildcats, in my opinion.
How many AAC bids are there going to be? 3?
I'd say 2.
Okay.
I would probably say maybe Memphis sneaks in there.
Okay.
Just because Memphis is the better talented team. But
all right. Houston and Memphis is in. UCF is out.
Yeah, I would say say UCF, Tulane,
Cincinnati
Wichita,
out, Temple out, teams, Tulane out. Okay.
They got a lot to work on, man. I don't see many of these teams doing much of anything, to be honest with you. But
we'll see. It's tough to see ACC not getting 5. I mean, Virginia, Duke are locks. North Carolina kind of on the bubble. And NC State on the bubble. Miami looks pretty good. Pittsburgh would be the 6th if they get 6.
Yeah, I think Pitt's gonna get in, man. I think Pitt's just rolling. They're a great team. I don't like Pitt. I grew up there, but I hate Pitt basketball. But I got to give them their respect this year. I want to talk some Pac-12. I'm not really in love with the UCLA game because they don't fit what I'm looking for in college basketball, Drew.
Okay.
They beat Washington as an 11-point road favorite on January 1st. Now they're back here at home. I have more interest in the team that lost on the road coming back home for revenge, which is Arizona against Oregon tonight. Arizona was pounded January 14th, 87-68 at Oregon. Now they get to come back home. Since then, Arizona's turned it around, beat USC, UCLA, Washington State. I like them a lot tonight, but the numbers coming down on Oregon. Any opinion here?
Okay, my fair says 10.5. And I think realistically, the fact that it's 8, this is now Arizona or pass. And yeah, I mean, just kind of looking at how these two teams match up, the fact that Oregon can't hit a 3 to save their lives, the fact that Oregon's really not doing a great job of creating turnovers, that's really where you can kind of hurt Arizona, as far as I can tell you. So, if you're not creating turnovers, if you're not getting good looks from 3, then best of luck as a dog here on the road. This looks like a rough spot for Oregon, honestly. I think Oregon is going to be well overmatched. And, I don't mind laying a big price. Arizona playing good basketball right now. Now, Arizona, not a team I'm really loving to get super involved with come tournament time. I think they could go in pretty overrated. They're going to need some very fortuitous path help, I think, to get to the Final Four. But tonight, at least 10 looks like the fair price to me. So I'm going to lay the points here with Arizona.
I'm with you. This was 8.5 overnight. It's come down to 8, 7.5 at some places. I even was waiting for a first half team total in Arizona. It's 38.5. Might be a little bit too high for me, but you're right, Drew. Oregon, 27% from 3 on the road, 68% from the free throw line. They cannot do anything pretty well on the road. And you look at the road wins, California and Utah were the only 2 road wins, not impressive at all. This game against Arizona is a setup for them to really run them out the gym, in my opinion. So I like Arizona minus 7.5, minus the 8. That's going to be my best bet in that game. They're playing the best basketball. And Oregon's still dealing with injuries, guys coming back or guys not playing full minutes. So that one will be interesting tonight. But go Wildcats. All right, Drew. Gonzaga. I want to know what you think of Gonzaga this year. What's your fair prices on them in the market? Futures tonight, because this is a big game against Santa Clara. They almost lost against them. They had to come back from a 30-16 deficit to beat them by 5 on the road. Now they're home, and they lost their last home game. So talk about a team that's got some fire under their butt tonight, Drew. It's Gonzaga.
Yeah.
What you make?
So I'm saying there's about 100% chance that they make the tourney field. I think they're probably going to get a 4 or 5 seed, depending on whether they can beat St. Mary's in the WCC title game. Really, the Western Conference is 2 teams getting in, Gonzaga and St. Mary's. 2 teams probably going to be a very, very good final. As a 4 seed, people are sleeping on Gonzaga a little bit, but their resume, their kind of makeup looks pretty sketchy. My fare for them to win a title is almost 200 to 1. So I would need a big old price to bet Gonzaga to win it all. It's not out of the realm possibility that the last couple of years with all of that pressure, they got a little bit of an underperformance in the tournament and ultimately couldn't get that ship. And then now this year with a little bit more wide open field, maybe they do go on a magical run. Obviously a 4 seed would afford them the likelihood that they are in the final, the Sweet 16. At that point, you just need to catch a little bit of fire and do, go on a run there. But I give St. Mary's a much better chance to win the title than I do Gonzaga, even though that particular matchup is a little bit in favor of Gonzaga for me. So fun head to head. And again, another kind of important one to watch if you're going to be betting, if you're going to be betting the March Madness field once we see it, because you're going to need to know what you're dealing with Gonzaga. Their defense is, if you haven't been paying attention, their defense much, much worse than it has been in years past. And they're not even playing very good teams. So it's like, if you adjust for strength of opponent, this might be well outside the top 100 in terms of defense, which is crazy. They're getting it done offensively. They have a very good offense. They're basically, pretty much elite in every category. They run a pretty high tempo. So, this team is going to score 80 points on you if they feel like it, which is cool. But ultimately, they're going to be in some rock fights. They're going to be in some, not rock fights, like slow, ugly games, but just like bang, 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 high scoring affairs that are, come down to who's got the ball last, which is going to be fun basketball to watch come tournament time. Tonight, I make them only 11-point favorites. So I think 13.5 is way too much to get involved with. But Santa Clara Broncos, they really don't inspire much confidence. So I'm going to pass on that one.
This is a solely motivational spot while the line's probably a little larger because, like I said, Gonzaga lost their first conference home game, and I don't even know how long, Drew. It was like over 30 games, 29 or 30 straight games. They won at home in conference play, and they lost to Loyola Marymount on January 19th. That was their last home game. So they've had about 2 weeks for these fans to have to wait for them to get back here. So, yeah, I think Gonzaga is definitely somewhat of a play tonight. I need to find out the best way to play them. First half team totals 41.5. Mighty high. And then the team total's 86.5, which is juice going to do it at 87. So more than likely, that's probably one of the ways that I'll play them tonight. But I want to ask you, Gonzaga's plus 105 at some shops to win the West Coast regular season title.
Yeah.
Arizona is plus 180 to win the Pac-12. Would you rather take Gonzaga when they still have 2 games against St. Mary's left, or Arizona when they already have a leg up on UCLA? Tough question.
Man, this is a tough question. I'm going to take plus 180 just because it's a bigger price. I make the likelihood of each winning their conference about the same. I do like Gonzaga against St. Mary's head-to-head. I don't know why my numbers are so bullish on them in that particular matchup, but they are. I know that we're going to learn how they match up on Saturday. Obviously, that game is pretty. It's going to be pretty interesting. I'm expecting them to be a huge dog at St. Mary's, and I'm going to be taking Gonzaga on Saturday. So, spoiler alert. What do you think that price opens, by the way?
I think St. Mary's is going to open at 4.5 to 5.5, and then again, people are going to start hitting Gonzaga. It's going to be similar to what we saw with Michigan Northwestern today. Michigan opened at a 4-point underdog, road underdog, and now they're down to about 2.5.
Okay. If it's any bigger than that, does that give you any pause, or you are like at that point? Well, now we got to play the money line.
Well, I mean, I'm going to play both probably, but Bartorvik and Ken Palm both have this as 5.6-point wins for St. Mary St. Mary's, and I don't see it. This is a huge game for St. Mary's. You're telling St. Mary's now they're the favorite over Gonzaga on a Saturday. On a Saturday, Drew, betting favorites on a Saturday, we're not doing that anymore. I've learned my lesson the past 2 weeks. Give me Gonzaga. Okay. But I like what you said about taking the bigger price in Arizona. I think you take a stab on Arizona and Gonzaga to win their conferences. You're at least making something. One of those 2 teams should probably get it done. Before we talk NBA, though, I do want to talk one game in particular, Ohio State and Wisconsin tonight, my man. Interesting game. Ohio State, 7.5-point favorites. Both teams 1-6 in their last 7. What do you think?
Yeah. If I had any read on Big Ten basketball, I would say so. For whatever reason, I'm blind to whatever is going on in this conference. I don't understand favorites. It's that simple? Is that easy?
Like the Big 12 and the Big 10, the home favorites on the money line at least have been hitting over 70% rate this year, but they've been covering over 60%.
It's a very, very tough conference here. Like I don't get it. There's a lot of results that defy numbers. It's funny that you say so like there are some angles in certain sports that work extremely well. And they're just true blue. Like, don't overthink it. This is just an angle that's correct. And then, but if you're like me and you're used to like another handicap, like the NFL or the NBA or even tennis, and you hear it out loud, you're like, that can't be real. Like, there's no way. That's not a thing. No way. But for whatever reason, it happens to be working here. So, I mean, I'm surprised that this number is as big as it is. It looks 3 points off market to me, but apparently Big Ten dogs go on the road and die. So literally.
And I've played Ohio State 3 straight games now, and I've gone 3 straight wins on them, and it's been pretty easy to kind of just bet this team when they're at home, fade them on the road. Wisconsin's been the same thing, but Wisconsin got their starting 5 back last game for the first time against Illinois at home. It was a Saturday. Wisconsin was a 1.5-point dog. I was like, this is the exact Big Ten bet that I want. Nah, Wisconsin put up 16 points in the first half, Drew. They lost that game 61-51. They are as miserable offensively as I've seen in a long time. You talk about teams that can't make free throws. Gonzaga's not a good free throw shooting team this year. Gonzaga's hitting, I think, 69% on the season. Wisconsin, 59.7%.
What?
On the season. On the season.
That's crazy.
So Ohio State's averaging 76 points per game, third in the Big Ten. Great offensive team when they're at home. Their 2 Big Ten home losses were by 5 combined points. I mean, it's definitely OSU or pass for me. I was hoping to get a 5, so 7.5 is pretty spicy. But if I'm going to take a free bet in this game, it's definitely Ohio State. It might be on my card tonight, Drew.
Yeah. Okay.
Big spreads.
All right.
Big spreads.
Well, I'll ride there. Yeah. I'm gonna pass because I've been the kiss of death in the Big Ten. But go get them.
Then do me a favor, throw a tenth of a unit on Wisconsin tonight.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I'll do you that solid.
All right, yeah, we like Arizona, Ohio State. We'll be looking at something on Gonzaga tonight. I was supposed to actually read you guys a promo like 5 minutes ago, but I didn't do it because we were having so much fun. So here it is now. Every season is draft season. Get your Roto-World Draft Guide bundle today and dominate your football, baseball, and basketball drafts. Packed with profiles, rankings, projections. Order today and get 3 Roto-World Draft Guides for the price of 2. And if you use promo code BUNDLE5, you save an extra $5 at checkout. That's your Roto-World Draft Guide. Make sure you guys get it. If there's anyone's birthday coming up and they're a baseball fan, that's your gift. All right, don't even overthink it. Drew,
outstanding piece of work, by the way. Hat tips to the people who work on that. It's unbelievable every year. And if you play fantasy baseball, it's like a must-have, really. Yeah,
I totally agree. Baseball season, fantasy baseball is the longest fantasy sport of all and is the most difficult because you have to add drop pitchers every day. So, yeah, definitely get that to set yourself up so you don't have to do as much daily acquisitions. That would be my word of advice from you guys. But let's talk NBA because there's only 2 rested disadvantages spot tonight, Drew.
Oh, no, there's
the
a
Warriors lost an OT at Minnesota. They're going to Denver. Then the Grizzlies, they played last night and they lost. They're going to Cleveland. You have a play on any of these 2 games?
I passed on both only because the Denver, you're right. That's a huge disadvantage for the Warriors. But if you look at the line, 11.5, 12, like what? The Golden State's going to rest everybody. I don't think I don't know that they've made the announcement yet. Let me take a look real quick here. Do we have a report? No, we're still waiting for official confirmation from Golden State in terms of who plays, but I would expect no Curry, no Green, no Clay, no Wiggins. Maybe, Andre Iguodala probably out as well. In for Denver, I would expect Aaron Gordon does play. And so Denver is going to be at full strength. Warriors are going to have the B squad. This is going to be an ugly one. 12 is a little bit too much for me to get involved with. Warriors, by the way, what a disappointment they were last night. They were in complete control of that game and wildly fumbled the bag. Good for any of us who have faded them in the Pacific Division market. But this Warriors team still mightily struggling to find some form. They weren't the most disappointing team last night. What the Grizzlies did was even more disappointing, in my opinion. This is the Western Conference. We have a bunch of teams that just can't find consistent winning basketball, which is going to make for a fascinating end to the season. Nuggets are not one of those teams. This team they're solid as a favorite. They're solid at home. And they're solid at full strength. And, so I think 12 is a fair number. And I passed on that one. The other one that you said was a rest advantage was what? Memphis, Cleveland?
Yeah. Grizzlies
so
last night played.
Cleveland is actually sneakily a little tired. So I don't see a true advantage there. But at the same time, my goodness gracious, Memphis, what a sad performance last night. Yusuf Nurkic goes out. You can't put enough distance between yourself and the Blazers. The way the Blazers are playing right now, that was awful performance from the Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson Jr. got his 6 blocks at home. I'm sure you saw that. But outside of that, it was a very uninspiring performance defensively from the Grizz in that game. And now they have a very tough test going on the road against the Cavs, who desperately need a win. So that number looks fair to me. I think in general, 6 is probably a little high. If I had to bet anything in that game, I would bet Memphis. But the rest advantages that I'm more keen on here, the Indiana Pacers taking on the Lakers. Lakers are secretly in a very, very tough spot here. Tired, in terms of fatigue. Of course, they went to overtime against the New York Knicks this week. And the game before that, you didn't have LeBron, you didn't have AD, so they haven't, the superstars haven't had to put in a ton of time. But the bench certainly has. The role players certainly have, and those guys are going to be completely out of gas in this game. Tyrese Halliburton is going to be back for Indiana. So the big question for me with the Pacers Lakers is, at what point do you get involved in this market? Indiana's dogs right now. That's presumably when we get confirmation that LeBron and AD are going to play, this may move a hair. But on the flip side, once Halliburton is confirmed in, this is going to come back down. So wait or take the plus money now. It's kind of, the key question in my mind. I don't mind if you can find a plus 110, even plus 105 on the money line for the Pacers right now. I think that's a fair play. I think they get the win. And in general, I like this matchup for them against the Lakers squad that remains overrated.
Very interesting line here. And I think this is such a trap spot. We talked about a little bit off air before this, because when I saw this line, I was like, who doesn't want to play the Lakers at this price? So certainly it looks like someone is either out or Tyrese Halliburton. We know he's on track to come back today. And they were 1-9 in the 10 games that he missed. Huge deal. Much better team with him and the way he runs the offense. So I'll certainly be looking at some of his props. I've been trying to stick to one play a day in the NBA, Drew, except Tuesday when we were on together. I got a little loose. I had 3 plays. But the one I did lose was the Lakers beating the Knicks. I was on the Knicks in that game. So I was certainly surprised, how good the Lakers looked late in that game. But I want to ask you a question, because everybody and their mom has been riding LeBron's point totals because he's going to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record, 89 points away. I feel like tonight's trap also. Lakers in general are the trap, but LeBron's point total, 29.5 points. His next 5 games to break this record, the Pacers, the Pelicans, the Thunder, and then the Bucks and the Warriors. He might not even play tonight, honestly, but if he does, you don't want to break this record against the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Like, you want it to be the Bucks or the Warriors. So at this pace, LeBron should probably not be scoring 30 points the next 2 or 3 games. Agree or disagree?
He is Machiavellian in this way of where he wants it to be the way he wants it to be. So it wouldn't shock me if he would like to break the record at home instead of on the road. It wouldn't shock me if he would like to break the record in a big game where everyone's going to be watching and where he doesn't really have to compete with, anything else on the sports schedule, right? Like I think he would love to have the night and the next day all about him and his pursuit of the record. That seems plausible. And this isn't a knock at LeBron. LeBron is freaking amazing. Like, we have been blessed to be able to watch him over the balance of his career. So I think he probably gets it done either Oklahoma City or Milwaukee at home. The Milwaukee game would be the one I would circle because it's on TNT. It's on Thursday. It does get a little stepped on by Super Bowl media. So, Friday is going to be a big Super Bowl media crush. He kind of timed this poorly. He needed to get it done this week so that he could have the entire week be about LeBron. Instead, he's going to get stepped on by Pat Mahomes, which is, sorry for him about that, but it is what it is. The points total, like, if your handicap for a game is, I'm going to bet this guy's points total over because he's trying to break a record, stop. Like, that's not an edge. That's not an edge. You need to take a deep breath. You need to think about, the people who are making these lines. And you really think that the market in general doesn't recognize that if he plays that, he has an eye on what his, total point scored is. Come on. Like, he gets a triple double in Madison Square Garden. I think pretty clearly he, expected that the Knicks were going to key on him defensively. And, really, I thought a lot of the first 3 quarters of that game for LeBron were about facilitating, not scoring. And, I think he's a smart player. He's going to recognize what the defense is doing. And if the defense is going to let him shoot, then he's going to take his shots. If the defense is keying on him defensively, he's going to facilitate for others. Either way, I think Pacers are the bet. So.
Don't fall for the trap, people. But I think LeBron. I think my one NBA play tonight is going to be LeBron under 29.5 points. I think I'll fade the world here because he's going to set himself for early in that Bucks game. He'll break the record in the first quarter. He'll get his standing ovation. Everyone will be happy. And I looked at ticket prices. Certainly looks like the Bucks game is the ticket price. If you're paying $310, hoping LeBron breaks the record against the Thunder, best of luck to you. That's going to be a rough one. But before we get to our best bets of the night, just a reminder, if you guys don't have that NBC Sports Digital app, go download it now. Contests are free, easy to play, shot to win thousands by predicting what's going to happen in Premier League and college basketball. So make sure you guys go ahead and download the NBC Sports Digital app wherever you get your apps at today. All right, Drew, final thoughts for the rest of the NBA slate, your best bets today. What you got, man?
Really interesting game in Dallas. What the Mavericks play closer than they ought to every single time they take the court. Christian Wood not available here. New Orleans Pelicans all of a sudden at full strength, at least with Brandon Ingram back. Pelicans need to win badly. They have slid in the standings to the tune of they are now like on the bubble of the play-in, which is amazing considering how good this team was for stretches at the beginning of the season. A ton of that, obviously, the absence of Zion Williamson, but surely a game where I'm going to be following this one closely live. Pelicans, some of their role players dealing with a ton of fatigue, but the stars are rested just because they've been out for a lot of time with injury of late. So, excited to watch that one. Looking for a live entry on the Pelicans plus a bunch of points if the Mavericks get out to a hot start. And just in general, like a really good game to watch because it matters a lot for both of these teams. The edge of the night for me, we're going to go to the Clippers and the Bucks game. I think the Bucks are being slept on a little bit here. Clippers, decent fatigue factor coming into this spot. The Clippers live and die by the three. They are going to get it up. They're going to get it up often. And in general, the Bucks have been susceptible to that type of approach in terms of they just will give you a look from three. But they've done a better job this year, I feel like, of tightening it up and, kind of forcing you into less advantage looks from the distance. So I would expect that this is a pretty good matchup for them defensively. Milwaukee realistically rested, haven't had to play high level competition in a while. And this should be a good opportunity for them to, really kind of tune up a little bit here, after, what's been a pretty soft stretch in their schedule. I would say, man, they're on a nice little 5-game win streak. They did have a chance to just throttle the Nuggets, but that was without Jokic playing. So this is the first time in a long time that they've gone up against a bona fide, contender. And I think that you're going to get the best out of the Bucks tonight. So I am laying the 4.5 with them. My fair price on that one is 5.5. So biggest edge for me on the card tonight is only a point. That's not a lot. It's going to be a sweaty night, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a sweaty night against all sports. It's definitely another sharp line, but I like the Bucks in this spot too. If I was playing a spread tonight, I think Milwaukee would definitely be my side. Clippers are a team, Drew. We know when we're going to get their full effort. I don't know if we're going to get it in this spot here. So I'm with you, my friend. I like the looks that we have. I think my best bet before we wrap this up, I'm going to go with the Pac-12 game that we didn't even talk about today, that no one's going to watch today. And I'd say if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it because it's not going to be fun. Colorado is a 15.5-point favorite against California. California's at Colorado. I like Colorado. First half team total over 34.5 points. They only put up 27 at Cal on New Year's Eve. They lost that game 80-76 as a revenge game. And guess what? The Golden Bears of California, they are 0-6 in true road games this season. 28% from three, 44% field goal percentage, and they're a terrible rebounding team, ranking 330th or worse in all three of those stats I just said. So you know what? Tonight is all about the Buffaloes of Colorado. And maybe we even get Deion Sanders in the building. I also saw Lil Wayne was in the building yesterday. Maybe he catches the Colorado game. That'd be pretty cool. But let's go Buffaloes, baby. Let's go Buffs.
Yeah, my numbers say that's going to be a boat race. So first half team total over. What was the number you had? 38?
34.5.
34.5. Okay, my numbers say 38 points in the first half. So I think you're in good shape there. That's good.
That's my favorite bet of the night, baby. All right, let's do it. We riding. All right, Drew. It was a great show once again. I have fun as always. Make sure you check my man, the Well Capper, out on tomorrow's episode. Don't forget to check out NBC Sports Edge as well for more information to help you guys out with your wagers. Thank you everyone watching on our NBC Sports YouTube channel. If you're listening in podcast form, Don't forget to subscribe and rate us. Until next time, best of luck with your bets.